Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma. I like Disney musicals and all things cozy. Finally, 2024 is here. I have been very fortunate this year that I've gotten to see some incredible musicals, and I've only been able to see 4 shows this year, but I'm so grateful that I've been able to go to London twice, and hopefully this year I already have 2 London trips sort of planned for next year, and I hope that I can watch more shows than I have been able to watch this year. But I want to start with a clean slate and talk about some of my favourite shows from last year, and then also having nice plans for this channel. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot to me. Please remember to give it a like if you like musical theatre, and if you have any suggestions of shows for 2024 that you want me to review, or any movie musicals, just please let me know in the comments. Let's start with the first show. Now, I have to admit, the first show that I got to see this year was Newsies. Now, if you're new to my channel, you might not know this, but Alan Menken is my favorite composer of all time. He is probably the reason why I started doing music, and I'm in love with Alan Menken's work. Now, I must admit, actually, Newsies is probably one of my least favorite Alan Menken shows. I don't mean that I don't like it though, like it's a really good show. I've never had the intense obsession for Newsies like some people have. I know Newsies has a really hardcore fan base. However, this year I finally got to see it live. Now, I've only seen the pro shot with Jeremy Jordan, but I just think sometimes you need to see something live in order to appreciate it. Different opinion on Newsies now after having seen it live. So first of all, what I loved a lot about this is the location. I saw Newsies in the Wembley Troubadour Park Theatre. One of the nicest things about this was actually my first theatrical experience outside of the West End in London. Like, it's not technically classed as the West End. I had to travel out a little bit far, take the tube, which I'm not sufficient on the tube. I'm not a Londoner. I'm just going to admit that now. I know, again, so many people who live in London who knows the tube like the back of their own hand. I'm not there, but I bravely took the tube by myself to go to this theatre, and I love the location of it. It's really close to the Wembley Stadium. There were some really nice, cute shops there. But yeah, I just love this theatre because it's really small and it felt really intimate, and you would think, Newsy in an intimate setting, shouldn't this be having a huge stage? And no, I loved it because in this show, the cast, they had a immersive take on the show. So all the dancers, they really utilised the small space of the theatre, and because I went as a single theatre goer, I actually got to see, they bumped my seat up to like the best seat in the house, and I got like a new theatre friend going there as well. But no, I just I got like a really good seat. But even if you hadn't gotten a really good seat, and like I was really lucky, I didn't even pay for the price of that seat. I paid like, I think £25, and they bumped me up because they had some free seats. Anyway, what I really loved about this production is no matter where in the theatre you were sat, say you were sat in the back, sometimes you obviously miss out a lot of action, but what the actors did, they came out into the audience to do the choreography. And Newsies is all about the choreography, you know, the tap dancing, the big jumps and the splits. They had this like wire over the audience that the actors came flying over, and it just felt so immersive. I feel like you were automatically taken into the world of Newsies. And this is actually the set that you would walk into. Actually, even before even entering the Newsies audience, they had these like wiry bits hung up over where you walked in, and they had like this line of washing hanging in there, so you just completely felt immersed into the world before even taking your seat. I loved that the theatre felt like kind of an open warehouse. It was giving that old school New York vibe already. The venue was perfect for it, I think. If it ever goes to the West End, yeah, sure, but this felt like a unique experience. And I think the location was just perfect for it. Now, you can see these beautiful photos in here of some of the actors. says written by Alan Menken, lyrics by Jack Fieldman, book by Harvey Fierstein. Now, Michael Ahumka Lindsay played Jack Kelly, and I have to say, he was a breakout performer for me in this production. He made Jack Kelly into a completely different character that I've seen previously. No, like, he's always this kind of lover boy character, but his vocal is so different to anything I've heard a Jack Kelly do in the past. His voice was a little bit lower than maybe perhaps Jeremy Jordan, but he really blew me away, and I can't wait to see what he does now. Obviously, the choreography in the show, like, you go to Newsy, you don't expect bad movements, do you? So yeah, I'm going to show you again. Look at these sets that I like as well. You can see here in the program they have a little bit of background, some history about the real Newsies, because if you don't know the show, it is basically based off a real event, the Newsboys strike of 1899. It says on 18th of July 1899, a group of newsies declared a strike against the papers of Joseph Pulitzer after they put up the prices of their bundles from 50 cents to 60 cents. And American cities such as New York grew in the midst of the Industrial Revolution and immigration waves of the 1800s. So did the number of children working to support themselves and their families. These children were largely excluded from textile mills and factory work, so they worked as newsboys and girls, shoe shiners, messengers, and made deliveries. Now, I do want to highlight the cast of this show. So, as I said, Michael Akoma Lindsay as Jack Kelly was definitely a highlight, but I also think Bronte Barbie, I am sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, she was such a wonderful Catherine Plummer. She just made her really likable and quirky. Her Catherine Plummer was amazing. Now, Watch What Happens is one of the most difficult musical theatre songs of all time, and I think what I really liked about this production of Newsies as well is that they featured Newsy women, like Newsy girls, because it's a very heavy male ensemble, isn't it? And Catherine Plummer is basically usually the only female member other than Medda Larking, played by Maya Angelou, which I think I actually saw the swing when I went to watch it. I think I might have seen Camila Fernandez play this role, and she did a fantastic job. They had female newsies, and they were like the badass Brooklyn newsies that come to, basically battle it out with the newsies. And then I think everyone had expectations, and then they turned out to be girls, and I was like, yes, powerful women, love to see it. And it kind of revived Newsies a bit for me, to have more female strong characters in the show. Absolutely love that. So I think the way they've done this show is very innovative. It for sure has made me feel a lot more in love with Newsies. I feel like the choreography was really well thought out. I love that it was an immersive experience, loved the location, love all the actors in it. I haven't even mentioned all the names of people in this production. I'm really sad that it's closed down. I do hope it comes back in some iteration. Maybe it will go back on tour, possibly. Like, I would love to see a tour of this show. I would say highly recommend go and see it, but if you do want to see Newsies and you haven't seen it before, there is, as I said, a really good pro shot on Disney Plus with Jeremy Jordan. But I love this production. I would highly rate it a 10 out of 10, probably, or maybe 9.5 or 10. I can't decide. The next show that I saw this year was Mrs. Carrie Hope Fletcher, an open book. Now, this is her first solo tour ever. If you don't know who Carrie Hope Fletcher is, she is famous from roles as she's played Veronica Sawyer in Heathers, she's played Cinderella in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cinderella. I absolutely adore her. She's one of my all-time favorite people in general, and my partner actually for Christmas gave me tickets to her new tour in 2024, which is called Love Letters, in October, and I get to go to the London Palladium again, which is probably my favourite theatre in London. I just love it so much, and I love all the productions they have on there. Anyway, this production, well, this show was inspired by Carrie's internal dialogue with herself, and I have actually made a full video about this show. I did a full extensive review, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here today. If you do want to see a more extended review of this show, I'm going to link the video down below so you can click it and see kind of all the ins and outs of it. But what I really did like about this show, that made it kind of different for me in terms of a show, musical theatre, concert experience, is that she made it an immersive experience. So she had a set of different songs, and all the songs belonged to a different story from her life and career. And then each night the audience got to vote for which story they wanted to pick. So all they got was a headline, and then they had to vote for which one was more intriguing to them. Now each story would belong with a song that was unknown to the audience, so it kept it quite fair as well. And I'm pretty sure if you saw more than one show on this tour, you would get a different show every night. So I really did enjoy that. I loved that it still felt quite musical theatre-y, like the staging with the bookshelves and everything else made it so nice, and having Trinity open was really nice as well. I was so excited to see Carrie Hope Fletcher in concert. As I said before, she is one of my all-time favourite musical theatre performers, and yeah, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Upon looking back, I mean, I would rate it a 10 out of 10 for me, because I love Carrie Hope Fletcher, and I think it was very her. So yeah, now this is a show I saw very, very recently. I went to London in December, so literally last month. I got to finally catch, and this is actually a show you can still catch. It's closing very, very soon, but you can still catch it if you're quick. So this is Stephen Sondheim's All Friends at the Gielgud Theatre. I'm so excited. I'm talking about this. I haven't made a full review of this, so I'm going to talk about this now as much as I can. And here is Stephen Sondheim on the back. Now, this show was, spoiler alert, absolutely incredible. It's one of the best pieces of theatre that I've ever seen in my whole life. Now, you would probably easily say a show honouring Stephen Sondheim's work, that would just be great anyway because the work is great. I disagree, and here is why. Because if you had anyone less than excellent performing this material, you could very easily fall flat. So basically the show is honouring Stephen Sondheim's greatest works. So they picked a couple of, like, maybe 2 or 3 songs from each really big show he's done, like Sweeney Todd, Ladies Who Lunge, Sunday in the Park with George, Company, all of these big Sondheim shows. But I feel like they really honed in on the cream of the cream. They got the best of each show. And it left you wanting more. And Into the Woods as well. We mustn't forget Into the Woods. I loved this cast so much. I know that this show has been playing in New York City already, and it's only very recently come to the UK, and it's only like a limited run. But to have people like Bernadette Peters and Leah Salonga, like that, those are names I never thought I'd be able to sit here and say, God, I got to see them perform live. Now, if you don't know this about me, I'm a massive, massive Disney fan, and Leah Salonga has the privilege of, she's the only one who's played 2 Disney princesses, Mulan and Princess Jasmine, and it meant so much to me to see her live, and she absolutely killed it, and she really surprised me as well. I think we all had this image of Leah Salonga being this sweet soprano Disney princess, you know? But I didn't even know she's actually played Mrs. Lovett in a previous production of Sweeney Todd, and she performed The Worst Pies in London. And when she came out, she was in full costume. She had the rotten teeth and, you know, the kind of pigtaily buns, and I couldn't recognize her at all. Her voice, like, if I closed my eyes, I would have no idea that it was Leah Salonga singing this song. It was just so good. It's probably the best version of that song that I've ever heard. and especially live, like she did such a phenomenal job, and I kind of wanted her to reprise her role and star in another production of Sweeney Todd. I was like, I need a cast recording of this. So for me, like, Sweeney Todd is probably my favourite Sondheim show, and which is why that's probably my standout performance. But seeing Bradley Jaden and Bernadette Peters perform a number from Into the Woods was also pretty funny. I'm a huge Bradley Jaden fan. After I saw him in Les Mis, I think his voice is like butter. He is so, he's very handsome as well. Sorry to be a fangirl. But he's also such a talented performer. And Bernadette Peters is a Tony winner, obviously. So I'm just going to show you a little bit about the programme as well. The programme starts with a poem from Stephen Sondheim, or like a little text from Stephen Sondheim, and I'm actually going to read it to you because I thought it was pretty cute. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Patrons are respectfully reminded that the use of cameras or sound or video recording equipment is strictly forbidden. Also, please do not sit in the aisles, as in the event of any emergency you will be trampled to death. Also, patrons who are fitted with hearing aids are requested not to turn up the levels too high, lest they set up feedback in patrons fitted with pacemakers. Please do not crinkle your program incessantly. Please do not fidget uncontrollably in your seats. Please do not make little clicking noises with your tongue, and please don't cough. It tends to throw the actors off. If something's crude, please don't come unglued. Please no need to leave in haste. The author has a reputation based on taste, so please don't fart. There's very little air, and this is art. If now and then you're restless, don't lose heart. A premature departure may seem smart, but wait for the finale, which is brilliant, then depart. And this just sums up Stephen Sondheim perfectly. I think he, in a lot of his work, has a lot of sense of humour. It's very tongue-in-cheek with Stephen Sondheim. He sometimes plays, he knows how to do any emotion. He can do serious, he can do funny, but I think a lot of his work has like a little bit of cheekiness to it, and I just love that. Some photos from when he was younger, a little bit of history about him if you don't know him, and here is obviously Bernadette Peters, and she's worked with Stephen Sondheim on so many productions, so to be able to see her, it's just, yeah, incredible. The cast. Now, we've already talked about Bernadette Peters and Leah Longer, but Kristen Alado, who was in The Prince of Egypt, was also in this, and she was really, really good. Claire Birch, Janine D. Now, who really wowed me in this production actually was Bonnie Langford. I think every time Bonnie was on stage, I was mesmerised. You can tell that she's been doing this for a hot minute, because every time she was on stage, my eyes were like glued to her. She knows how to evoke emotion, she knows how to be funny, she knows how to light up the whole stage just with her movements and her facial expressions. And what a voice she has. I am a newfound Bonnie Langford fan. Absolutely 10 out of 10 performer. And Janine D, I believe, was the one who performed I'm Not Getting Married, which is from Company. Now that song is not an easy song to perform by any means, and every time someone performs it, I'm pretty sure half the audience is, if they know the song, is like that. They're like they're like, oh, it's so easy to mess those lyrics up. It's almost like a rap. Like, I like to think of it as a musical theatre version of a rap. Because it's just, the lyrics are so fast, the tempos changes. Sondheim likes to play around with tempos and different dissonant chords and things like that. And yeah, she nailed it. I think this cast, it was just, the whole performance was seamless. Seeing Gavin Lee in this production after I saw him in Beauty and the Beast was incredible. I just think this, if you think about a Broadway show, this is it. You got all the glitz, the glamour, the sparkles, the sequins. It was staged like a concert for the majority of the show, but then I liked that when they had a little bit more time, they had costumes for Into the Woods and Sweeney Todd, which just shows that really, I think, kind of need that, but it wasn't a full-blown, you know, costume change. like a lot of the times they were wearing the same outfit. Sessions were so smooth and it didn't at all feel forced. You can just tell that all the performers in this show has really honed their craft, and it was a joy to watch. It's the most polished show I think I've ever seen, and it goes to show with all the performers in it, like nothing was left to chance. Everything was meticulously planned. And yeah, you still have an opportunity to go and see it. And what I also do like about it, one of my favourite things about this production is the fact that they're doing a scheme at the theatre where they are selling tickets for £25 if you're under 30. Now, I'm unsure if they still do this. I'll definitely cut it out of the video if they don't. But what an amazing thing to do, because like Sondheim is a genius, and I do think making theatre more accessible to people, especially with inflation and the cost of living crisis, is so important. It's part of the reason why I haven't been to the theatre more this year. I am not in a place where I can financially afford to go and see a show every month. I'm just not. And so having this opportunity to go and see, I had £100 seat, I'm pretty sure, for £25. That is incredible to me. Make theatre more accessible to people. It's the way forward, I think. And Sondheim has so many varied works. I still haven't seen every single Sondheim show. I felt like I was learning new things. And that's okay. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm an expert on all things musical theatre. No, there's still shows I haven't seen that I would love to see. And this is a great introduction. I don't actually think you would need to know who Sondheim is in order to enjoy this show. It's just introducing you to new types of music or new types of musical theatre that you might enjoy. So yeah, if I was to recommend you one show this year to go and see, would probably be that. The Gilgit is also an amazing theatre. It's in a really good location in London. If you want to do the, you know, touristy stuff, it has some good restaurants nearby, and it's near Piccadilly Circus, so definitely go and catch this show while you still can. Okay, and lastly, I feel a bit awkward about reviewing this show because I've seen so much good theatre this year, and then there's this, The Time Traveller's Wife. Now, let me see, the music is written by Joss Stone and Dave Stewart, and a book by Lauren Gunderson. Now, I'm going to show you some photos for this production. Now, this is based off a book, movie, TV show. I've heard that this story has a lot of different versions, which I haven't seen either. So, like, I went into this with a fresh mind and kind of like just excited to see what it was all about. Now, if you don't know the story, A Time Traveller's Wife is about this married couple who are a little bit out of the ordinary. So the protagonist, Henry, he has, ever since he was young, travelled back in time, been able to travel back in time because he was in a car accident when he lost his mother, and ever since he's been reliving it, and he's been travelling back in time to try and reunite with his mother. Now, this sounds like a really cool concept, but I'm so sorry, this show missed the mark on so many things for me, and here is why. So basically, when he's about 28, he time travels and he meets Claire, this beautiful, talented young woman, and they become friends. And then when she is older, their age has like evened out, and then they marry each other. Now, this show has a lot of structural issues, I would say. So first of all, this time traveling, like fair enough, the show's about time traveling, it's called The Time Traveller's Wife, but the pacing of the show is so weird. He time travels like every 5 minutes, and it kind of loses momentum a little bit for the story. I feel like if they have these rotating stages, like when he's traveling back in time, like that is clever, but it just happens to the point where you're just like, oh my god, he's time traveling again. We get it. We get it. You're a time traveler. You don't need to rub it in so much. I don't know. And the whole, I won't spoil it too much, but there's a pregnancy, and they're like, oh, she can't get pregnant because the fetus wouldn't stick to her womb because of the time traveling, and it's just a bit weird. And there was also a point in the show where Henry gets a vasectomy and doesn't tell Claire about it, and then she, as a revenge, travels back in time and makes a baby with a younger version of him so she can get pregnant. It's just, I don't know. Where the show's let me down the most is the music. Now, in a musical, I expect the music to be the driving force. And obviously the story needs to be good, the script needs to be good, but in a musical theatre, the music is vital for it to be a good, experience. And I cannot fault the actors at all for their performances. I think my highlight, probably vocally, was the guy who played Gomez. I'll put his name on the screen. Incredibly rocky vocal, like a rock-esque vocal. It's incredible vocals, and I feel like if I had seen him in anything else, I would have been all over it. But the songs in this show, for a lack of a better term, it just feels very anonymous and very forgettable. Very rarely can I go to a musical and come outside on the other end and just feel like I can't remember a single melody, a single hook line from this show at all, which is such a shame because I had so many hopes for this show. I really thought it would be like a really sweet, emotional experience, and I left myself feeling bored and I wasn't engaged in the story at all. I didn't root for any of the characters that I should be rooting for. It just all felt a little bit like, I'm a cheesy person, guys. I love Disney, I love musical theatre. Like, I feel like you have to be a bit cheesy to like those things anyway. But I just feel like it was cheesy in a way that wasn't good. It just felt cliche, and a lot of the tropes were very overused, and it didn't translate. And I feel like it's a lack of a good book, and the music was just so forgettable. They were going down this really poppy route, and if you want to write a pop song, you have to make it catchy. I feel like someone like Sarah Bareilles could have really lifted this show out of its fog, but it's also, it's a combination of the music being forgettable and almost good, if you know what I mean. Like, it could have been good with a few tweaking. It would a little bit of tweaking, and the same for the pacing of the show. If they had just slowed it down ever so slightly and given the opportunity for the audience to get to know the character, and given the audience the opportunity to know the characters fully and fleshing them out and giving them proper pacing, I just feel like it would have been such a different show. And it's really sad. I'm really sad to say this. This was a 2 out of 10 for me, unfortunately. It was just not... I wouldn't recommend it. Like, I'm not going to sit here on my channel and lie to you guys. I want to be as honest as possible. I'm rooting for shows. I am not going to be one of these people who sit here and it's overly critical about things. But I also won't lie. I will not recommend a show that I don't feel like, should... Like, I wouldn't... I took my friend Alex to see this show, and he didn't like it either. We were like... I never talk at the theatre, but I was like whispering, and no, I don't know. I think the cast did a phenomenal job. The singing and acting is incredible in it. David Hunter is the lead role in this, but he wasn't there when I saw it. So I saw the swing. I'll put his name on the screen. He was phenomenal. Again, the cast, I have nothing bad to say about the cast. It's just, the material and the music and the pacing of the show is highly letting it down, and it's such a shame. So that's all of the live shows that I've seen this year, which obviously doesn't include musical theatre movies and TV shows that I've seen. This is just some of my thoughts about the shows that I've seen this year. I'm so excited for 2024 and what it will bring for this YouTube channel and to grow our small little theatre community. If you want to be part of it, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and that you also hit subscribe so you never miss out any of my videos. And I'm excited to see more theatre in 2024. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video.